We are here to share a little bit about Circle of Grace. We were saying we're not quite sure how to describe ourselves. We say house church so that people can kind of understand a little bit about who we are. But our story kind of started in 2002. We were attending Buffalo Mennonite Church in the Lewisburg, Milton area where we're from, and one of our good friends who experienced a lot of childhood trauma and sexual abuse invited me to go with her to Michigan to get trained to start running journey groups, which is like a 12-week group for survivors of childhood trauma. And I went, and then Mike later went, and the ministry started growing in the church. And so it started drawing all these people into the church, into our groups who had experienced all of this pain and trauma, and became a lot of tension of how to meet those people's needs in that setting. And basically kind of out of that tension, we saw many of those people not being able to fit, not being able to continue on their journey to healing, that we weren't equipped as a church to be able to meet their needs and where they were going. And so kind of out of that process in 2010, somewhere around there, Circle of Grace started. So that is still our mission. People who kind of can't find their way for healing, connection with, and love with God and other people and themselves, that need to find another expression of faith where they can sit around a table, sit in a living room, find a place that feels like home and belonging, a place that they're not afraid to share their stories and where they really are. So that's kind of the beginning of our journey.
We were very excited to start this idea of providing a safe space for people who've experienced a lot of trauma, especially sexual abuse probably. We had a lot of great ideas, we thought, and so we started and grew very quickly. We grew into 4 groups, and we thought we were doing a great job. We had some of these people who had gone through tremendous trauma, had gone through some of our groups, were in a lot of counseling, but had a real heart for God, were really growing. We invited them onto what we called it a resource hub, which was our leadership team. And this wasn't the only thing that kind of devastated the whole process, but there was a lot of brokenness that happened within the team. You know, just with sexual abuse, a lot of things are very sexual in nature, a lot of the damage, and so it played out that way on our leadership team, way beyond what Levon and I could imagine when we started. And so it made us ask some serious questions about ourselves. Was our dream really flawed? Or what we trying to do just wrong? And we started asking questions about ourselves, like, are we good leaders? Just really felt kind of a bottom to the whole process. It also caused tension between Levon and I because I'm a visionary, so I was thinking, you know, this is a bottom, but we can create something. And Levon says, there's no way. Plus, I was calling our family to do things that was damaging to our family. We had 2 young kids, and so it wasn't good for Levon and I or our kids. We were putting too much into this and not enough into our family, especially me. And so we really took a break, continued. The 4 groups fell apart. The one group is still kind of functioning. Well, they are still functioning, but we kind of just said we can't provide leadership to this whole thing. So Levon and I just said, we'll just provide leadership to this small group that we were part of, really have this focus around family. And so we had to go on a real journey together of figuring out how to communicate about it, grieving what happened. We really had to grieve that. And now we feel like we're in a great season again, so it just feels really exciting to be where we are, kind of looking at starting new groups again. it was being able to tell the story and having Claire and Yosef and some of the coaching network be able to kind of validate. Claire would say, you need to fail. That was very huge. I also had to ask the question, why was I doing this? And some of that I felt like kind of distilled. I feel like our simple verse for the whole thing that we do is love the Lord God with all your heart, soul, and mind, and others as yourself. I just feel like we kind of went from very complex to very, 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 very simple. Since we're on that idea of failure, and I think kind of following with that, part of my story was getting kicked out of church when I was 18, my family. And so the idea of pastoring freaked me out. And you could probably use stronger words than that. But so my leadership was very, very flawed and still is. So when trying to follow me was kind of trying to follow this person who would say, come follow me. No. It was just a very mixed message. And so there's lots of learning.